Jamie brightened. Would you like a game of cards? Which game? I asked. War. I assume you cheat. Yeah, he sighed. I may decide to play after lunch anyway. Can we start eating now? Jamie asked. You don't worry about manners too much, do you? Oh, he replied. I don't worry about them too much when I'm this hungry. You are honest about some things. Jamie shrugged his shoulders. You might say that I'm honest about everything except cards. For some reason, I'm helpless about cheating at cards. Let's eat, I said. I was anxious, for I do enjoy a good game of cards, and Jamie promised to provide just that. Claudia appeared as we were finishing our soup. I saw that she was annoyed that we had not waited for her. She was all bound up in concern for good manners, and she wanted very much to let us know that she was annoyed and why. She acted cool. I pretended I didn't notice. Jamie didn't pretend, he simply did not notice. I will skip the soup, Claudia announced. It's good, Jamie said. Sure you don't want to try some? No, thank you, Claudia said, staying cool. I summoned Parks. He appeared bearing a silver casserole. What's that? Jamie asked. Noiseless at fromage and casserole, Parks answered. Claudia showed interest. I will have some, please. Sounds like something special. Parks served. Claudia looked down at her plate, looking up at me and moaned. Why, it's nothing but macaroni and cheese. You see, I laughed. Under the fancy trappings, I'm just a plain lady. Claudia laughed then. We all did, and we began enjoying our lunch. I asked Claudia what she would like to do while Jamie and I played cards. She said that she would like to just watch us and think. Think about what? About how we are going to get back home. Call up your family, I suggested. They will come for you. Oh, it's so hard to explain over the phone. It will cause so much commotion. I was astounded. You still don't think you have caused any commotion so far? I haven't really thought about it very hard. I've been so busy worrying about Michelangelo and avoiding getting caught. If only you'd tell me if the statue was done by Michelangelo, then I would feel that I could go home again. Why would that make a difference? I asked. It would because you found that running away from home didn't make a real difference. You were still the same Greenwich Claudia, planning and washing and keeping things in order. I guess that's right, Claudia said quietly. Then why did you run away? Claudia's words came slowly. She was forming thoughts into the shape of words for the first time in a long time. I got the idea because I was mad at my parents. Dad was getting the idea. Then I started planning it. I thought that I had to think of everything, and I thought of an awful lot, didn't I, Jamie? She looked over at her brother, and he nodded. I enjoyed the planning without anyone knowing that I was doing it. I'm very good at planning. And the more plans you made, the more it became like living at home away from home, I interrupted. That's true, she said, but we did enjoy living away from home in a mild kind of way. Notice that Claudia is still being very careful not to reveal to me where she and Jamie stayed. I wasn't ready to push yet. I felt I had to help the child. Don't laugh as you read this, Saxonberg. I do have some charity in me. What part of living away from home did you like the best? Jamie answered first, not having a schedule. Claudia became impatient. But, Jamie, we did have a schedule, sort of, the best that I could manage under the circumstances. That wasn't the most fun part of running away. What was the most fun part for you, Claudia? First, it was hiding, not being discovered, and after hiding became easy, there was Angel. Somehow, Angel became more important than running away. How did Angel become involved with your running away? I purred. I won't tell you, Claudia answered. I put on my surprised look and asked, Why not? Because if I tell you how Angel got involved, it will be telling you too much else. Like telling me where you have been all week? Maybe, she answered coolly. Why don't you want to tell me that? I told you before, that's our secret. Oh, you don't want to lose your bargaining weapon, I crowed. Is that why you are not telling me where you stayed? That's part of the reason, she said. I think the other part is that if I tell, then I know for sure that my adventure is over, and I don't want it to be over until I'm sure I have had enough. The adventure is over. Everything gets over, and nothing is ever enough except the part you carry with you. It's the same as going on a vacation. Some people spend all their time on a vacation taking pictures so that when they get home they can show their friends evidence that they had a good time. They don't pause to let the vacation enter inside of them and take that home. Well, I don't think really want to tell you where you have been. We have been. I know, I answered. Claudia looked at me. Do you know I don't want to tell you, or do you know where we have been? Which do you mean? Both, I told her quietly. I resumed eating noiseless out from it and casserole. Claudia looked over at Jamie. Jamie had slipped down in his seat and had thrown his napkin over his face. Claudia jumped up from her seat, grabbed the napkin off Jamie's face. Jamie quickly threw his forearms where the napkin had been. It slipped, Claude, it slipped out. Jamie's voice was muted since his forearms were protecting his mouth. Jamie, Jamie, that was all I had. All we had, the only thing we had left. I just forgot, Claude. It's been so long since I've had a conversation with anyone but you. You shouldn't have told her. You heard me say to her that that was our secret twice. Now everything's lost. How can I get her to tell? You had to go and blab it all. Blabbermouth. Jamie looked at me for sympathy. She does get emotional. Claudia, I said, be seated. She obeyed. I continued. All is not lost. I'm going to make a bargain with you, both of you. First of all, stop referring to me as her. I am Mrs. Basil E. Frankwiller. Then, if you give me all the details of your running away, if you tell me everything, I will give you a ride home. I will have Sheldon, my chauffeur, drive you home. Claudia nodded no. A Rolls Royce, Claudia. And a chauffeur, that's a very fine offer, I teased. Jamie said, How about it, Claude? It beats walking. Claudia squinted her eyes and crossed her arms over her chest. It's not enough. I want to know about Angel. I'm glad that I wasn't dealing with a stupid child. I admired her spirit, but more I wanted to help her see the value of her adventure. She still saw it as buying her something. Appreciation first, information now. Nevertheless, Claudia was tiptoeing into the grown-up world, and I decided to give her a little shove. Claudia, James, both of you come with me. We walked single file through several rooms to my office. For a minute I thought I was leader in a game of follower leader. Jamie caught up with me and said, For an old lady, you sure can walk fast. Claudia then caught up with Jamie and kicked him. We arrived at my office and I mentioned for them to sit down. Do you see those filing cabinets along that wall? I asked, pointing to the south wall. Those are my secrets. In one of them is the secret of Michelangelo's angel. I will share that secret with you as the rest of my bargain, but now my information is more important than yours, so you must have a handicap. The handicap is that you must find the secret file yourself, and you have 1 hour to do it in. I turned to leave. Then remember, and I don't want my files messed up or placed out of order. They are in a special order that makes sense only to me. If you move things around, I won't be able to find anything, and our whole arrangement will be off. Jamie spoke. You sure know how to nervous a guy. I laughed and left the room. I tiptoed into the large closet I have next to my office. From there I watched and listened to all they did. Jamie got up immediately and began opening file drawers. Claudia shouted, Stop! He said. What's the matter with you, Claude? We have only 1 hour. 5 minutes of planning are worth 15 minutes of just looking. Quick, give me the pencil and notepad from that table. Jamie ran to get them. Claudia immediately began making a list. Here's what we'll look up. I will take the odd numbers. You take the even. I want odd. For goodness sake, Jamie, take odds then. Here's the list Claudia wrote. Michelangelo, Buonarroti, Angel, Park Burnett, galleries, Metropolitan Museum of Art, Italian Renaissance, auctions, sculpture, marble, Florence, Italy, Rome, Italy. Jamie looked over the list. I changed my mind. I will take Evans. There's one less. Talk about wasting time, Claudia screamed. Take Evans then, but get to it. They began to walk very rapidly. Claudia once or twice cautioned Jamie not to make a mess. They had exhausted the list, odds as well as evens. There were folders on most of the categories they looked up, but upon examining them, they found not one hint of Angel. Claudia was feeling depressed. She looked at the clock. 6 minutes to go. Think, Jamie, think. What else can we look up? Jamie squinted his eyes. A sign that he was thinking hard. Look him up under. What kind of language that look him up under? Oh, baloney, Claude, why do you always pick on my baloney, that's it, Jamie. She bought Angel in Bologna, uh, Bologna, Bologna, Italy. The paper said so. Look up Bologna. Both ran back to the files and pulled out a file folder fat with papers and documents. It was labeled Bologna, Italy. They knew even before opening it that it was the right one. I knew too. They had found a file that held the secret.